If you want to radically transform your life and take your health to the next level, click on my Breath is Life course below. This will optimize your breath as well as your meditation. And I'll see you after the video. Hey guys, Troy Casey, Certified Health Nut with my man Giano from Alaska. In an effort to bring you more fun, freedom, and phenomena, we brought Giano to share his story of healing with the world. And so you were telling me yesterday about your awakening. Mm-hmm. Please share the people some of the process that you've been through and then the work that you do now.
Yeah, so this happened about 13 years ago. I think it started with the film Zeitgeist and the obsession of 2012 and what was going to happen with that. So I figured I need to clarify myself and figure out what that meant to me and kind of figure out what I was capable of and what this body was capable of.
What was the catalyst in the movie?
You know,
the religion,
well, my
banking.
It was all of that. Really.
The bombing.
It was all of that. I went into David Wilcock 2012 Enigma, into Law of One, and just kind of really just took a dive. Moved to Alaska and decided.
So let me review for the people if they haven't seen them. So Zeitgeist explained the banking cartel, the way the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds were set up, the 9/11 false flag investigation into Building 7, and then the walk through religion and kind of control of the mind of man. Mm-hmm. And then David Wilcock did 2012 Enigma, which was a Google viral video before they used to have Google Video, and then they bought YouTube, and so it was the #1 watched video on that, and that got into the esoteric side and the movie Contact and the collapsing the waveform and mind over matter and the more spiritual depth.
Yeah, and the activation of the pineal gland and the importance of that, and you know, having that be clean as a vessel to be able to understand what was really going on, I think was a big part of it. So at that point I decided, you know, I need to get out of the lower 48 and move away from people and the things that were kind of causing me some of this conflict, and moved up to Alaska. And
where were you living though?
I was living in Minnesota, and I was riding pro BMX for a while, and decided I had a lot of physical injuries going on, and it just wasn't going anywhere. It wasn't really what I was passionate about anymore. I kind of felt like a circus monkey at that time, trying to make a living doing that. So I decided to move to Alaska, get away from it all, clean my body out, and really get in touch with spirituality and who I really was deep down. So.
And how did you clean out your body?
Did a lot of organ cleaning. Did it with lunar cycles, very systematically from the upper organs to the down to the lower ones.
Fasting?
Fasting. I did a master cleanse at the time. I did a liver flush using apple juice and malic acid for a week, and then using
Andreas Moritz formula.
Exactly.
To get the gallstones out.
Exactly. And I kept purging my liver until nothing came out, and I was seeing all kinds of calcium stones and
neon microwave
and crazy things coming out of my body. And you know, when you get rid of these things, you tend to sort of stare at them, and you get this you know, these memories kind of come flooding back when you see this physical matter coming out of your body. And I knew right away that I had to process the non-physical as well as the physical. So I really got into spirituality that way. Did a lot of solo retreats on my own, and really just focused on you know, holistic healing. You know, I knew that they weren't separate. You know, you really had to do it as a whole. The body, mind, spirit as a whole. So it's a whole system that you have to work with.
So you went through the physical, connected to the spiritual, and then you started to go into the mental and the emotional constructs.
Yeah,
take us through that.
I did use psychedelics at the time. I was using peyote, LSD, and psilocybin, and really treating it as going in with intention. Had a little cabin, and I was just sort of on my own. Just sort of figuring it out, and that was a big part of it. But cleaning out the body and really making it pure, and my eyes changed color. I started to get sort of this really intuitive, sort of psychic, empathic ability, sort of just enhanced through the roof. And from there, knowing what I knew, learned, I had sort of began to kind of help others do the same thing, knowing how much it affected me. I mean, I lost like 70 pounds at that time. When I moved to Alaska, my body just, wasn't liking me at all, and I wasn't liking my body. So I knew that I had to change, and once further I went, the more my body just rapidly changed. My eyes changed color.
So the body was giving you signals, but you weren't listening to them. Then you woke up, and then it's all ultimately an inside job.
Absolutely. Yeah, the body's really, as I see it, is a holographic representation of who we believe we are. So when we change who we believe we are, the body just transforms right along with that belief system. And a lot of what I do now is based on that. So, now I'm into body-centered hypnotherapy, where we really focus on, where these feelings originate in the body. There's always a picture associated, there's always a color. From there, we kind of make the changes to the pictures, so that we change the color. We do a lot of breathing. Big fan of working with the spine as an antenna to kind of lock in these different states. So it's almost as if our state attracts our possibilities,
I think that's a bit of Tony Robbins' work,
sure,
right?
Absolutely.
Changing your state.
100%. Yeah, it's the first thing I do when I work with a client is get them to understand their state, that they're all their default setting. We all have sort of these default settings that we walk around with. So getting that spine, getting people to be aware of their spine and the antenna, that the frequencies that they're tapping into on a moment-to-moment basis is a big part of what I do.
And you do facial reading.
I do.
As an initial. It's interesting to hear him explain what I went through yesterday, because he took me through a session, and even the colors and it was kind of rapid as it happened, and it wasn't so cognitive, and just using the cognitive, the awareness, just to address it really quickly, the energy seemed to move rapidly, just because you acknowledged it. It was almost, and it was an interesting experience for me, because I like doing healing work and working with other facilitators, and sometimes I can see it, but I didn't see it with you. But the magic happened on the back end. And so that's why I wanted to share his work and what he does with you. So why don't you tell people, finish.
Well, you're great, man. People who can get really into it have the biggest results. It's all about incorporating every part of ourself, our body, our breath work, our visualization, our anything that we can do to involve all the senses is going to create the biggest change. So when people don't want to do anything and they just want to use their mind, they're just not going to get the profound change that they're really looking for. When they start to incorporate all these senses at the same time in that healing process, the neurology doesn't know the difference between the picture of something or the actual something.
So you can use your imagination and acceptance and surrender, like God surrender, and let's move this energy. Just
absolutely. Yeah. And usually what I do is I use the face as a diagnostic tool. It's pretty provocative stuff. From there, the face, there's the structural features that go back 10 generations. There's the wrinkles, which are the emotional charges that we hold on to. So our experiences are sort of our wrinkles. There's stored emotional charges. When we vent the emotional charge, the face can automatically change instantly. It's a sort of a portal into who we believe we are as the face. So from there, what I was taught to do is really pay attention to people. And so really, you're doing all the work when I'm working with you. I'm sort of paying attention to where you want to go. And that's why it's so direct and so rapid. It's not me implementing some sort of ideology or process onto you. It's me paying attention to your process and where you need to go. Using multiple different healing modalities, one into the other, kind of using the nuts and bolts of each of those modalities, keeping them simple and kind of just stacking them,
because I've studied enough, and I've watched other people study stuff, and I know my wife's studying the mind a lot right now, and that can also just be a trap. I know the psychology, but it doesn't go after the unconscious and the subconscious beliefs. We have
to ask ourselves who's really driving the bus, the conscious or the subconscious, right? Yeah. And if we create the problem with our mind, we're not going to be able to create the solution with our mind.
Wasn't it Einstein said you can't solve a problem with the same level of mind that created it?
Exactly. Yep.
And so that's where psychedelics, that's where hypnosis,
Yep.
that's where nature,
Uh-huh.
meditation,
Uh-huh.
everything that takes you out of the constructs.
Yep. It's we develop these neural pathways and these patterns, and it's about breaking these neural pathways and patterns and forming new ones over the top of that. And it causes a collapse, and that's really where the healing is, and that's where the change happens. You know, when that collapse happens, you'll see the person go, you know, and when you see that posture shift, I'm like, that's it right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that posture shift is what we're looking for. You know, and that's really where it's at. It's where the rubber meets the road.
Did you see that with me last night?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's always a sigh of relief too. There's a, and then there's a posture shift. And when I see that, I know there's something big happening, you know.
Yeah, it was profound because it was so subtle, and I've done so much work, and you know, then I run up against my own barriers, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm here. And then to go through something that was so simple. And I like to have not so many expectations, and I interface with a lot of people, so it was a good surprise. And so how long was your awakening? How long have you been?
So this was 13 years ago. Cleaned out my body for about 4 years. You know, then feeling pretty good. Started to help others in sort of an intuitive way, sort of teaching them about cleaning out their body and purifying themselves to kind of clear up these channels and get rid of some of the confusion and blockages that they were having.
And did that validate your own healing?
It
and
did. Absolutely.
Accelerate healing by teaching others what you had learned?
It did, you know, and I didn't really have a set system though. It was very intuitive, and I was kind of going all over the place. It wasn't until I met my teacher, David Snyder, who really gave me a solid system and really helped me find my way. And from there, I kind of extrapolated what I liked, created my own method based on these modalities, and kept it sort of simple. And I got sidetracked along the way. You know, I got into the cannabis industry for a while with my brother, and you know, we had retail, and I was in charge of the production building. So like working with plants has always been my thing, and just got almost destroyed by that industry. I learned a lot though, you know, I learned a lot about business and government.
It's funny when you play around
lobbying, and it was like, and I actually had to learn how to be a better communicator to manage staff and business relationships, and being able to talk to government officials. And so I got into NLP, which is sort of the language that hypnosis kind of uses. And then I sort of discovered hypnosis, and I was thinking, man, this is actually really fascinating. And I started learning hypnosis. And before I knew it, I didn't care anything about the cannabis industry. I was like deep diving into hypnotherapy. So it sort of kind of steered me back onto my path, you know. So nothing is wasted on your golden path. And the golden path is a Taoist alchemical process. And that's sort of what face reading does. Face reading is a Taoist alchemical process by analyzing the face and understanding where we've been, what we've experienced, and where we're going, and what we're inherently born with. So when we read the face, some of these things, sort of these emotions sort of come up. And so it causes this change and this process of change. And it can take a while, but what I do is I add hypnotherapy, body-centered hypnotherapy on top of that to really get that change to happen right now, right? As my face reading teacher taught me, these things can take years to work out. And I wasn't okay with that. I was like, no, we're gonna do this right now. So we're gonna point to the feature of the face that has these emotional charges stored, and we're gonna change it right now. So again, I kind of took the best of that and combined it with the best of other things I learned, and created a really rapid, fast changing system.
Yeah, when he started explaining some stuff in the eyes with me, and how these are just unshed tears, and obviously being a model over the years, you know, I check in with my face. That's what got me into health, into fasting, into purification. And I know this is related to the kidneys. And so when you said, what do you want to heal? I was like, right there. And we went deep pretty fast. So I wanted to, before the show ends here, I wanted to share that he lives in Juneau, Alaska, and there are cruise ships that get off there. And so he offers his services on Main Street in Juneau, Alaska. And I think that's very interesting. But please tell the people where they can find out more information about you.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, Vibrational Alchemy Alaska, and contact info is on there. Reach out to me. I do Zoom or FaceTime. Anything that works for you, I can do it over the phone.
Do you have an email?
Yes, rainforestgiano@gmail.
Giano,
Giono.
Giano.
Rainforest
O-N-O.
Yep, Giono.
Okay, great. Any websites?
Not yet. I'm working on that right now, so that should be up within the next month or two.
Okay, and he's in Sedona now, and you'll be back in Alaska soon, and coming back, settling where?
Yep, I'm going to open another healing studio here in Sedona. If not this winter, I'm going to be back next fall. So I do spend my summers in Juneau, Alaska. So, yeah.
Awesome. Get with Giano and get some healing. God bless you guys.
Thanks, Trevor.